Support for the show comes from Carolina Forward, a nonpartisan organization dedicated to building a more equitable, democratic, and prosperous North Carolina.
You can learn more about their vision and values at carolinaforward.org.
North Carolina State Highway Patrol.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor?
A contributing factor to our juvenile delinquency of today.
Rock and roll has got to go.
And welcome back to the Hometown Holler. I'm Daniel Ayers.
And I'm Quinn Ray. Well, hey man, it's good to see you again. How's your week been?
Yeah, gosh, it was a good week, good weekend. Today is my dad's birthday.
Okay.
Actually.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, 63 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
63 years young.
I know. There you go. 63 years young.
That's right. What are they doing?
They are in Memphis for the eclipse.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's Monday.
That's tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So folks at home, we are recording this the day before the lunar eclipse, and I guess whether or not you will listen to this will verify whether or not the eclipse brought in the apocalypse. You know?
Right. I cannot wait for a Michelle Moore tweet on this.
If you're listening to the, well, you know, there was a Marjorie Taylor Greene tweet.
Oh yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted that the earthquake in New York and this eclipse are signs of God's wrath and divine dissatisfaction with the country, despite the fact that this eclipse was actually predicted a few centuries ago, before Marjorie Taylor Greene was a twinkle in her father's eye.
That's right. That's right.
So,
we
anyway.
also we went to the James Elder lecture this week together.
That was super cool. So we went to school and we saw the director, the leader of Habitat for Humanity, like the global
leader, Jonathan Reckford.
And he gave a great lecture. I learned, it's funny, I thought I knew a lot about Habitat for Humanity. Right. And he told us there are right off the bat, two things that he debunks for audiences. The first one is that Jimmy Carter did not found Habitat for Humanity, which I admittedly believed.
Absolutely.
But he's just a big booster, promoter, and partner with the organization. And then the second one, do you remember the second one?
I don't remember the
Habitat
second one.
for Humanity doesn't build houses for people.
They build with people.
Build with people.
That's right.
Which is such a cool model. And they're the world's largest home builder.
Man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great organization. And I think we'll definitely do a series on nonprofits.
Oh, we have to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we got a Habitat here in Alamance County.
That's right. And a Habitat Restore.
So I didn't know. I lived in Pittsboro for a couple of years, and there's an awesome Restore in Pittsboro. I had no idea we had a Restore in Alamance County, but it's over by Duke Energy.
Right near Putt Putt.
Yes,
right off
Putt Putt. Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so today we're going to talk about your kids. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
My kids.
Great.
Specifically my kids. But no, not just my kids, but your kids, our kids, everybody's kids, in the sense of we were talking about education, but now we're going to talk about childcare and the looming crisis that has been coming here to North Carolina, but we're about to hit that cliff.
Yeah, this wasn't a topic that I don't think this was on our radar. Like, I don't think this was a topic that you and I had planned to discuss. I mean, not that we were putting it off or we never thought we'd get to it, but this really came upon us urgently.
Yes, and I think, going through being active in the political scene and stuff and around activists, I'm constantly hearing that childcare is an issue. I mean, I have kids of my own. And I think everybody hears it.
Yeah.
And people was like, yeah, childcare sucks right now. But I don't think people really understand what's about to happen, especially after what COVID did and to now the sunset of the financials, the grants that were given by the federal government.
So that's a big part of what we're going to talk about today is the expiration of a lot of that federal funding. But like you're saying, childcare is on the vast majority of voters' minds. So according to the NC Chamber Foundation, 77% of North Carolina voters believe that access to child care is a serious problem. 86% say that improving the quality and making childcare more affordable is a good investment of taxpayers' money. I'm shocked that's not 100%. Who's the 14% saying, you know what, we should spend less. We should spend less for childcare.
Or doesn't have an opinion on it.
Or just doesn't, right. Yeah.
But even those numbers, those show that this isn't a Democrat or a Republican issue. This isn't everybody's issue. This isn't strictly partisan, but it is super political because somebody fact check me, but I'm pretty sure we haven't had in North Carolina a change in investment since 2011 for early child care.
Oh, wow.
And so we're looking at 13, 14 years.
That's okay. So that's really funny because that coincides with the GOP takeover. You know, that 2011. Yeah, and the timing of that,
yeah.
right? The last time that we had, you said funding or like new funding,
new investment into early child care providing providers.
Yeah,
that just hasn't happened since 2011.
That is the timing of that is just very interesting. And
if you can't afford kids, don't have kids, right?
Man,
isn't it's as simple as that, Daniel?
But by that logic, who's having kids? Who can afford to have kids, right?
Right.
I mean, that's, by that logic, you can have kids if you make above, I don't know, $250,000 a year,
which is still insane.
So the federal government brought in a bunch of aid in the fall of 2021 to help keep child care centers open. $1.9 billion in emergency funding.
Spread across all the counties.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So Mecklenburg County alone got like $106 million. And statewide, what was the number of facilities that?
I think it was 4,300 facilities received some of this funding. But I think we have somewhere between like 5,200, 5,300 facilities that are across the state.
Okay. So not all facilities, but the vast majority received a chunk of this funding. The money runs out this December. Is that right?
Some of it ran out in December. Some of it's sunsetting in June of 24.
It already ran out.
Yes, some has ran out.
Yikes.
Some is getting ready to run out. And what that is going to do in Mecklenburg County alone, this grant, the stabilization grant to help provide for the workers, the child care workers, it was able to help supplement pay, especially when COVID hit, right? Everybody couldn't work. But then you had those essential workers, the grocery store people that continued to work, some of the restaurant people that continued to work, the city municipal people that continued to work. They still needed to have childcare. Well, this had to supplement some of the pay, had to supplement some of the bills that were coming in, and so they were living off of this. And the average industry worker gets paid right now around $18 an hour ish. For childcare, early childcare development, they're around $14 an hour.
Oh my God!
So, and that's with this grant.
This is one political issue where I am kind of in the dark because I don't have kids,
right,
that I know of. So I just on a day-to-day basis, I'm not involved with the child care industry. I don't have to find care for my kids because my kids don't exist, right?
Right.
So you're saying that right, the average wage for $18 an hour, $14
for childcare services, and that's with these grants. So there are a lot of these like First Start and daycares that are really freaking out with this money that's getting ready to go away because the state government has yet to say, okay, we're going to help you out. Because what's going to happen is they're talking about we're going to either have to shut down, and I think there's some numbers about the amount of people that businesses that are going to have to shut down. They're going to have to combine classes. They're going to have to let people go. They're either going to have to make the people's wages less. So imagine, you're getting paid $14, $15 an hour. Then all of a sudden this money runs out and they're like, look, if you still want a job, you can work here. We'd love you to still work here, but it's only going to be about $12 an hour. And the issue that coincides with this that makes it really scary is public schools, right? We just saw where North Carolina has a mass exodus of teachers leaving our public schools.
Record-setting numbers.
Well, they're poaching. It's real easy to poach from these early start schools because they already have some of these qualities, right? So
you're saying to fill those vacancies?
To fill those vacancies.
Oh, wow.
And so it's really hurting because they're taking the early childhood development
Right.
teachers and putting them in.
Plug them in the gaps of,
Right.
the teacher workforce.
And no offense to them, right? I mean,
Right.
I would do it too. We need to fill that. We just have a mass crisis that's about to happen.
Well, you mentioned the numbers. So this is according to WRAL, published April 2nd, so fairly recent. New study shows nearly 1 in 3 child care providers in North Carolina could be forced to close this year without additional financial help from the state. That's crazy. 1 in 3.
1 in 3.
And and as always, that those numbers are going to be higher in the areas that can least afford.
That's right.
You know, the rural areas. You know, we're talking Harnett County, we're talking Onslow
Johnson County.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, right.
Like Mecklenburg County had 5,300 jobs
Yeah.
in early child care. I would be very curious to see what like Johnson County has.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I didn't realize I mean, again, I'm not clued into this world. I didn't realize the magnitude was that dire. And then I was just reading here. So let's see. According to the North Carolina Chamber of Commerce, I would call that a reputable source.
Right, I'm with them.
Very pro-business. Last spring, the group published a report kind of surveilling childcare issues and specifically looking at how childcare access is making it difficult for businesses to hire new employees and maintain current employees once those employees become parents. So a quarter of families with children younger than 5 said they left the workforce because they couldn't find affordable childcare. Not that they couldn't find childcare.
Affordable.
Affordable, exactly.
That's the big word.
Yeah.
I think that shows too that that North Carolina. I think it's in the same article. You know, they talk about how with this not being able to find childcare, that means they're not able to work or they've taken haven't taken an advanced position or a next level position, turned down jobs because of childcare. And because of this, North Carolina has lost about $3.5 billion in revenue and productivity every year due to childcare access problems. So just imagine, right now, North Carolina they tout themselves about being the #1 state in business. Well, if you aren't investing in early child care infrastructure, that shit's going to go out the window because people aren't going to come here, raise a family when there's nowhere to help take care of your kid. And we know this disproportionately affects the wives. I mean, even in my household, I'm thankful for Kristen. She holds the fort down and allows me to do what I got to do. We're lucky for her job, but we tried childcare, like a full daycare, and 9 to 5 type thing, and we just couldn't afford it. Luckily, her job, she can go in early in the morning, so she goes in at like 5 a.m. and then she's done at like 12.
Right.
And she's able to help, like, basically be a stay-at-home mom. But because of this has cut the income that she was making in half. I mean, she used to be the bread maker of the house. Right? She was the one that was bringing in all of the money.
Yeah.
And circumstances change. So we're lucky that she has a job like this, but we know that women are forced to stay home, the single mothers, right? I mean, we know that child care puts a giant burden on a household and a family, but imagine that single mother.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine the families where they just can't, they don't have a safety net. They don't have the grandparents. They don't have their neighbors to help out. And for some reason or another, it's always the lady who has to pick up the slack. And then we say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and work 2 jobs. And if you can't afford a kid, don't have a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, so the average, reading the WRAL article, the average pay for a preschool teacher in the state is $14 per hour. And so if I'm a childcare provider, if I'm somebody who runs a daycare and those funds run out,
What's going to stop you from working at Starbucks or Target?
yeah.
Or going into the restaurant industry? Like, why would you put yourself in that type of hardship? Because, I mean, it's hard. Why? I mean, I have 2 kids of my own, and being a dad is hard. Imagine having to watch. I couldn't imagine watching 10 2-year-olds throwing Legos at each other, spitting up, puking, changing diapers. I would lose my mind, and only for $14 an hour.
Do you expect this to be in important issue this election cycle because
It damn well should be.
well, it should be, but like I didn't know about this.
Right.
And these funds like have already expired. I mean, some of them, you mentioned December. I thought that was December of this year. Like, oh, it's coming up. We need to be on the lookout for when these funds expire. But this has already happened.
In some cases, and then there's some more that's going to sunset. But yes, they're expiring now.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just feel like this seems like a really important issue that is not getting the time of day.
100%. Because we live in a society where, again, it's you've got to figure it out because I did.
Right.
And because of that lack of empathy and understanding, just like, I'll have some residents in, where I live in the municipal where, we'll spend money on the park.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I don't have kids. I'm not going to go there. Why are you spending my money on this park? Mm-hmm. And I would say that's some of the same logic, but clearly they just did a survey saying that 87% of people surveyed believed that this would make people's lives better.
But okay, so I think here's the takeaway: the 80 to 90% of people who think this is an important issue needs to be addressed. The people in the halls of power happen to be that 10 to 20% who are unsure or not interested in supporting childcare. Because if you look at who is in the halls of power, especially in the state majority right now controlling the legislature, not a lot of mothers.
Not
right?
a lot of mothers.
I mean, you maybe a grandmother here or there, but there aren't a lot of working moms. I don't know if there are any working moms in the majority.
Well,
right
I
now.
know just recently, Ashton Clemens, she is in the House of Representatives. She's from the Greensboro, Guilford area. She co-sponsored a bill that was trying to help to get legislation passed to help for more funding. It was bipartisan, has some bipartisan support. I don't think it went anywhere. But she's a working mother, right? So, but she's an outlier.
Right.
We only have a handful of working mothers in the NCGA. But what I would recommend, what I think that the solution is us to keep talking about it, right? I mean, we're doing it now. We're going to try to megaphone it. But for any of the listeners out there, what I would do when you go to these town halls and go to these meet and greets, or if there's forums and there's open space for questions, ask everybody that's running for office, what are you going to do about it? Like, this is an issue. They know it's an issue. And we got to bring it to their forefront and make them answer us. Will it change anything? I'm not sure, but we've got to make sure we're talking about this and not just kind of how I was dealing with it, right? I heard it quite a bit that childcare is hard. Childcare right now sucks, but I never really thought about or never really knew how bad it sucked.
Last year we had the Parents' Bill of Rights. How did this not make it in there as a right? The right to childcare, right? I mean, because that's not just something that I think ethically is important, but economically, it just makes a lot of sense to give families the right to childcare so that they can pursue their careers, so that they can have stability at home, they can have economic security. I mean, there are all kinds of societal benefits besides, not having to rework your schedule or, go into complex negotiations with your spouse to make sure, okay, you get off work at this time so I can pick her up then.
Think about how big of a boost to the economy it could be. Like, we'll use my household again as an example. If Kristen was able to work full-time and her full-time work didn't go to supplement childcare, we'd be spending more money, right? We'd be putting more money back into the economy, our local economy. The sales taxes would be higher from our family. And just imagine if that was amplified by, 50,000 people, 100,000 people.
This is just like I'm imagining, you're as a town councilman, this must just be like your fantasy.
Oh yes, totally.
Lots of
bring it in
families spending their local dollars, giving you guys, I don't know, you have a skate park coming in.
Yeah,
you should do like a bull riding ring or something.
Right. Well, then that's spending frivolously, and then I will get looked at as one of those libtards that just likes to spend everybody's freaking money.
I can see the Alamance News headline. That's a bunch of bull.
Right.
Anyway, we're coming up on 20 minutes. I feel like our last one was pretty long. We should lop it here. And but yeah, I mean, thanks for bringing this to my attention. I'm sure there are lots of folks listening to this who were like me.
Yeah, and I don't want to end it here. I want to end the episode, right? But I think we need to talk about it again. I would like us to try to search out and find an expert on this, somebody who's been working, a policymaker.
Well, let's put out a call now.
So anybody that is have been an advocate for childcare, anybody that's working on policy,
runs a daycare,
holler at us.
Yeah. Right. Also, parents. I want to hear from parents as well. If you're a parent who has a story about the struggling to find childcare, the importance of childcare to your family, what it would mean to you and your family to have childcare security.
Yeah.
Would that allow you to pursue that promotion? Would that allow you more economic freedom? Would that allow you more stability at home? I want to hear those stories because those are the stories that do make a difference, right? Like, I mean, all we hear about are look, North Carolina is millions and millions of people. There's always going to be the one horror story of the person who leeches off the system.
Sure.
Or, the freeloader. What goes unsung are all the
people that just shut the fuck up and do it.
Yeah. Well, so yeah. And I mean, the stories of people whose lives are changed for the better.
Yes.
So we got to make sure that if you benefit from these programs, we can't take them for granted, and we gotta share how important they are to us. So please give us your stories, your anecdotes, and hopefully a guest or two will come out of this.
Yeah, and as always, like and share our stuff, comment, and we should be having a email list coming out, so we'll put out maybe bi-weekly or monthly newsletters, so make sure you subscribe to that when that comes out.
Quinn's gonna write a gossip column.
I can gossip with the best of them, but other than that, thanks for listening, guys. We'll tune in next time, and we'll see you soon.
Yep, see you guys.